Hi, and welcome to InvestorToday.ca. I'm your host, Dave Glover. InvestorToday.ca is brought to you in conjunction with RBL Communications, your online IR specialists. I'm standing here with Mickey Fupp, and we are at the PDAC 2012. We're, as you can see from the banner, Prospectors Developers Association of Canada. Mickey, always a pleasure to see you. Always.
Yeah.
Last time we spoke was Chicago with the Resource Expo. Had a lot of great feedback on that particular conversation. A lot of people happy about what you had to say and the direction you were going. So obviously you continue to be on the right track. PDAC 2012, how's it been going so far?
Well, it's very busy. I don't know how many people are here. Probably pushing 30,000 this year or something.
I heard that yesterday.
It's a bit of a crazy show. It's hard to find people that you want to run into, and then you run into the same guys 5 times and other guys you don't see. But that's the nature of this show. And the markets are looking up, I would say, from what we saw when we were in Chicago.
Right.
We had that extreme volatility. That's calmed down a little bit, but we'll see where it goes from there. I remain a long-term secular bull on commodities, so I'm basically an optimist in that regard.
Well, when we were in Chicago, we talked a lot about gold, and that was the big that was a huge thing, obviously, at that time. Gold. But I understand you've moved into other areas and you're looking at other things as well. What do you see as the next big play for 2012?
Absolutely, it's graphite's the next big thing. It reminds me very much of what happened with rare earths in the spring of 2009. There became a buzz. Then we saw some restrictions by the Chinese. So I'm seeing a similar thing in graphite space right now. Controlled 70% of the world production, controlled by China. We don't have enough large flake graphite for current demand, let alone projected demand.
Exactly.
And today, very interesting news came out this morning. The consortium of Chinese graphite producers have called for export quotas on graphite from China.
Today. Wow.
Yeah, this morning. Yeah, so I think it's the next big thing.
Obviously. And so where do you think the next big area of play is going to be? I mean, we know it's going to be graphite, but is there a specific
It's not
area?
going to be an area. Graphite occurs all over the world in high-grade metamorphic rocks. It generally occurs in relatively small deposits. The mining and the beneficiation, the milling, the grinding, the processing, the flotation is all pretty much standard mining technology. So as opposed to rare earths, we don't have this chemical plant separation sort of thing.
Right.
So I envision it to be a different sort of play with potentially a number of smaller producers coming into the space in the next 2 to 5 years. We should not have extreme long lead times to development.
So graphite, obviously, a lot of people are interested in that, and as you may have noticed from BNN and various other articles in the Financial Post, that it is basically the new fad, if you will, for 2012. But I think we're going to see it a little more long-term than just because normally with these fads, you're going to see 2-3 years maybe, and then things start to fade away. But I think graphite, we're probably looking a little more long-term, aren't we?
I have no idea, but it looks to me like it's going to be a typical bubble. What a diligent speculator needs to do is try to get in very early on and learn something about the space and pick the companies that are the best of the best that are going to survive whatever's going to happen, because it'll end up, there'll be a bunch of companies come into it and they will be winnowed out over the course of 2 or 3 years, much like the rare earth space.
Exactly.
There at one time was well over 200 publicly listed companies in rare earth space. I think now we are probably dealing with a half a dozen, perhaps 10 at the most, that have any chance of success. So you need to try to get in early and pick the best of the best, the ones that can be in production quickest, and easily permitted jurisdictions. And like I said, graphite occurs all over the world.
Exactly.
So it's much the same as rare earths.
Well, and it's more than just pencils, right?
Absolutely. It's mainly used as refractories and the foundry and the steel making business. Also lubricants and the lead in your pencil, but the strength in your graphite golf clubs and baseball bats and squash rackets, etc. And this looming increased demand from lithium-ion batteries. A lithium-ion battery requires 5 times the amount of graphite than it does lithium. And we actually saw what happened in the lithium space bubble, too. There's only 2 companies that have come out of that whole lithium run-up a couple of years ago that have been successful in junior space.
So are there any companies that you're thinking of with when it comes to graphite?
Yeah, so I started looking at graphite about a year and a half ago through one of my high net worth investors in Chicago, who you probably met when we were there, said graphite's. You need to take a look at graphite. So I started looking. I am a early on shareholder of a new company called Flinders Resources. It traded for the first time a week ago Monday, and it has come roaring out of the gate. It has since dropped back, very tightly held, but it looks to me like it's the best of the best. But I would very much caution speculators that there's free trading stock coming out and there's another tranche coming out in 4 months. So don't go chasing this thing. Pick a price, do some comparison peer comparables with a couple of the other advanced graphite plays. Look at what the market cap should be, and then pick a price you're comfortable at going in on.
Excellent. Well, I want to thank you for joining me here, Mickey. It's obviously a pleasure to talk to Mickey Fulp. It's the Mercenary Geologist. That's the mercenarygeologist.com. I'm Dave Glover with Investor Today. We're at PDAC 2012. Thanks for tuning in to investortoday.ca. We'll see you next time.